Continuation of number 0786. BD0787 from February 25, 1939, taken from book number 16. Path of the Soul Before Earthly Existence. Doctrine of Re-embodiment. Visualize the greatness and omnipotence of God, and only then will you be able to grasp the immeasurable love which embraces you earthly children, that even the smallest living being is in the everlasting care of the Heavenly Father and can never ever be put to shame, for God's love has countless ways and means in order to guide even the most unworthy being that consciously resists God's will onto the path of realization after all, even if often after an unspeakably long time. Again and again new shells are assigned to the being, and again the development of these through so many resistances is a new opportunity to mature. However, achieving the highest possible spiritual maturity in earthly life is extremely profitable for the soul, for the struggle in earthly life is certainly difficult in itself and demands much overcoming, perseverance and labor, but again, it is precisely in earthly life that the being is offered abundant privileges which already enable it to mature in a relatively short time. However, where the human being's will is blatantly opposed to the facilities offered to him, perfection is called into question and often even a regression is recorded. Now the Father's love in heaven is always and forever intent on leading the being to its final destiny, and indeed, the soul is now also offered the opportunity in the beyond to work on its perfection and to elevate itself into the state which results in a detachment from all matter. This is a far more difficult beginning in a world where everything tangible only exists in the imagination of the being, where the soul is as it were still entangled in all desires and worldly cravings, where it is exposed to all hostilities of this kind and cannot free itself from them through its own strength, where all desires, which in earthly life contributed to the fulfillment of earthly desires, now become torment, as they can no longer be fulfilled and cause the soul this agonizing state until it consciously turns away from them and feels a desire for pure spiritual pleasure. Such a desire will be granted immediately by the more perfect spiritual beings active in love, who will do everything in their power to free an unhappy soul from its state. Help will be granted to the soul immediately, only its will has to become active on its own and turn away from that which still connects it to earth and worldly desire. Where and how this transformation of the beings takes place has always been a cause of dispute for people concerning re-embodiment on earth. So it is enough for you to know that infinite times have passed and countless shells in the most diverse forms have surrounded your soul. That all these living beings took abode in, on and above the earth through God's will, but always in the closest connection with the earth which just existed for the purpose of maturing. That the last stage as a human being can likewise only be lived through on earth. But that with the leaving of the earthly body the soul passes over into a kingdom now completely independent of the earth, no matter what state of maturity the soul has attained on earth. There are the most inconceivable opportunities for its further development even outside of this earth, and once the soul has left its physical earthly shell and the millennia-long stay on earth has not brought at the final maturity, such an unspeakably difficult struggle begins in the beyond, and a re-embodiment on earth would be about the same as if the father would show indulgence to an underage child who refuses to obey him again and again instead of giving it to a strict school which lets it recognize the wrong of its actions. Interruption.